Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about my journey to sustainable health and meaningful success. If you're coming back and you've already subscribed, welcome back. Y'all are my people and I love you so much. And if you're new, I hope you consider subscribing by the end of this video. I am by the beach right now, actually. I'm in my car, obviously. And I don't know if you can see, but someone wrote Kenosha in rocks down on the beach. And I think that's so cool. But yeah, since it's kind of the end of summer and I want to savor the time that I have in my happy place, this is where I am right now. Also, I've just been thinking a little bit. Probably by the title of this video, you already are knowing kind of the subject of my thoughts, which is like, do I even really want to lose weight? And the reason why I'm titling it that is not because consciously I'm thinking, 300 pounds is like good for me to stay at. If you're new, I started my weight loss journey at 350 pounds and now I'm down to 352 pounds was my starting weight and now I'm at 302. So I've lost 50 pounds and I'd like to lose another like 150-ish, maybe a little bit less than 150. So I'd like to still continue to lose weight, but I lost like 8 pounds a month for like 3 consecutive months. It was like April, May, and June, I lost like 30 pounds in 3 months. And for me, that's like amazing. Even though I was pretty heavy and it's pretty easy to lose weight when you're that overweight, it's like easier to lose more, like a higher number of pounds if you have a higher number of pounds on you. I don't know if I'm making sense, but just bear with me. This is me and my thought process. So then like July hit, and July and August were months that just really were hard to like stay focused. And I felt so tempted with, going back to my old eating habits or just eating foods more often than I should, like eating foods that are less healthy for me more often than I should, or binge eating and just kind of like self-sabotaging. And I think sometimes when we lose a lot of weight in a shorter amount of time and then we plateau, that might actually just be your body physically like trying to be in homeostasis or trying to like find a state of like normalcy, because that's what our bodies like. Our bodies don't like huge amounts of change and our bodies are geared towards survival. So we're always trying to find that happy balance, and it's a good thing. It's a survival mechanism in our bodies, and it's a good thing. It's meant for a good purpose. And as I talked a couple weeks ago about like one of those paradigms of eating and like weight loss mentality that kind of stopped me from yo-yo dieting, and a mentality that I'm continuing to grasp, is that every symptom, craving, or behavior that we have in our bodies is intended for a good purpose. I mean, it's trying to communicate to our bodies something, and it is actually like bringing light to something that we need to address. And so our behaviors and our cravings and everything is simply the best solution that our bodies have come up with so far. So we're constantly in a state of trying to be the healthiest state that we're in, but sometimes our cravings or our behaviors are actually destructive, but the intention behind that is good. The intention behind that is to help your body be, in its happy place. So that's why sometimes when we've lost a lot of weight and then our bodies are like holding on to weight or not wanting to lose any more weight, or our cravings start kicking in more and we are starting to feel more hungry, it's because our body is literally fighting that drastic amount of change, if that makes sense. And this is not what I'm going to talk about today, actually, because I think that there's a certain adjustment period. And for me, I've just learned to be patient with my body through the times when my body just needs to adjust, and I'm not going to see the number on the scale drop, even though I know that I'm doing good things for my body. I'm just having grace on my body and not being impatient. allowing it to adjust to 300 pounds so that it can go into another state of losing. I think sometimes, especially, I don't know if this is just an American thing, could be, but, or just a me thing, really, is that I just want to push past any obstacle, and I just constantly want to be seeing progress. And I think that is kind of the mentality for a lot of competitive atmospheres. But I'm not, the only person that I'm competing with is myself. And so I can chill. I can chill on the expectations for my body and allow it to just adjust before it starts losing weight again. I think I've actually pushed past that. I actually am feeling really good and feeling like I can start losing weight physically again. And so I feel like at the end of September, when I give my September health update, I actually feel like I will be able to report weight loss. But what I am wanting to talk about today, and I don't know if that was a large intro or just kind of me talking, but is the internal sabotage that stops us from losing weight. Because I have felt that a couple different times. This is like 50 pounds is the most weight that I've ever lost in one chunk of losing weight. And so I'm kind of in uncharted territory for myself. But as many of you know, I am going to school to become a health and life coach. And something that we have been studying like recently is self-sabotage, and asking ourselves why we wouldn't want to lose weight, or why we're not, like, why actually what are the negative consequences behind losing weight? Because sometimes not only in a physical state do we want to maintain homeostasis, but also in a subconscious mental state, we want to, we are kind of afraid of change. It's what we refer to often as the critter brain. It's like our instinctual brain. It's not our conscious, thinking brain, but it's the instinctual brain that's like fight or flight. And when we start experiencing drastic amounts of change, whether good or bad, it can send our critter brain into fight or flight mode. Fight, flight, or freeze, really. And so, something that I've just been really processing through is whether or not at 50 pounds of weight loss is my subconscious instinct to stay at where I am. And why would my subconscious be trying to protect myself from that kind of change? Because again, it's all well intended. Anything that our survival instincts are doing for our brains, it's all well intended, but sometimes we have to break through that instinct in order to do what our conscious brains actually know is best for us, if that makes sense. So last night at 11:30 at night, I drove here to this same spot at the beach, and I wrote out a pros and cons list of losing weight, just so that I could get anything that might be in my subconscious onto paper and thinking through logically, and actually processing things that maybe I have not even really thought of before. And it brought to light some things that I'm like, dang, Sarah, you have issues. No, it just brought to light some stuff that I'm like, I didn't even really know that I was scared of those kind of things. But actually thinking through the pros and cons of losing weight, I can see how subconsciously I might actually be scared of losing weight. So briefly touching on, I wrote out a long list of pros for losing weight. Because there's a lot of benefits to losing weight physically, health-wise, a lot of my asthma symptoms, my PCOS symptoms, my joints would be so much happier carrying around less weight. Just being able to fit better in seats or just in public, having wider variety of clothes options and probably being able to get clothes at cheaper options. So it could be a money saver. Like, there's a lot. It's just a long list. Also, just like reducing my risk of chronic illness later on in life. So I think that's why it's so widely accepted that if you are obese or you're in a really high weight range, that's unhealthy for your frame, then it's widely accepted that weight loss will be healthy and beneficial for you in the long run and in the short term as well. Not to mention the fact that at 300 pounds, I'm maybe considered less conventionally beautiful than if I were to be 150 pounds or 160 pounds. I could probably have a wider dating pool, and that's just, I don't know, that's the reality of the world. But going now to the cons list, so I guess this is, we're just diving deep. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. We're just diving deep, and if you want to click off, that's fine. So ever since I was like 16 and someone said something, I'm not trying to call this person out or anything, but someone said something to me that, you know, some comments can like slide off your back, like water off of a duck's back or something. Like you just, it doesn't affect you. But then sometimes someone will say something and it hits right in that soft spot. And someone said something to me when I was in high school that basically changed my entire outlook on who I was, how valuable I was, and how I could make it in this world. And I won't repeat what they said, but essentially what came out of that was I believed that as long as I was overweight, I was unlovable in terms of dating, and that no one would ever want to be in a relationship with me or marry me unless I was at a healthy weight. And consciously, I know that that's not true because I see people all the time at all shapes and sizes getting married and living happy and fulfilled lives. But for some reason, that hit really hard for me. And I thought, okay, well, so unless I lose weight, I will never find love. So on the pros list of losing weight, naturally my mind thinks, well, as long as if I lose weight, then I could probably find somebody. I could potentially not spend the entirety of my life alone. I don't necessarily mind being single, especially after my last relationship. I'm like, I would rather be by myself, with myself, like as myself, than to have to try to be somebody else with someone else. Nah. But, and after I broke up with him, like there was a particular period of time where I intentionally remained single, and now I'm dating. But anyway, that's tangent. But I think on the cons list, number one, it kind of brought out maybe my fear of relationships or my fear of love. Like, oh my gosh, like what if I do lose weight and all of a sudden get in this relationship, like get in a relationship, and then like what if I don't know how to be in a relationship, or what if I'm really bad at relationships because I've been single for so long. Or on the flip side, what if I lose weight and I'm still single? Like, what if losing weight doesn't actually solve all of my problems? And that, I think, is just something that I'm bringing to the surface, bringing to my conscious mind. And this video is not really meant to give myself the solutions to all of those worries. It's just to bring them to the consciousness so that as I deal with them, my body and my subconscious mind becomes more and more comfortable with the concept of losing weight. So I'm not going to give you the answer to being afraid of relationships, because I don't know if I have that for myself at the moment. But it's something that has been brought to the surface. It's been brought to my consciousness, and now I can deal with that fear rather than just subconsciously not allowing myself to lose weight and not really knowing why. that might be one of the reasons why, is maybe I'm just afraid. I'm afraid of relationships. And on top of that, another con would be to get more unwanted attention from men. Because I haven't really put a lot of time or effort into paying attention to how I interact with men. And so when someone makes a comment to me, or when someone says something, I don't really know how to respond. And I think it's my own interpersonal issues with like dealing with men who flirt in a really uncomfortable way. And then I don't know how to respond to that. Subconsciously, that might actually be a reason why I'm like, let's not lose weight so I don't get more unwanted attention. And that could potentially be something that I just need to work through and learn how to reject people and not be afraid of making someone upset. Because that's been something that's, I don't know. My issues with the opposite sex, they run deep, okay? So, yeah. And then a third con that I thought of was the idea of like, might have to deal with like catty women. Because women, when they feel threatened, when they feel like they're like, if they're insecure, first of all, insecure women, because secure women are cool and they can chill and they can be around other women and not feel threatened. But there are a lot of insecure women, as there are probably a lot of insecure men. It's just I don't deal with that kind of competition because that's not my competition. But yeah, insecure women can get really catty. And even losing 50 pounds, I've experienced that. There was someone at work that, like, when I first started working there, she had no issue with me. She's in a completely different department than me. She was like so fine and so chill. And then I lose 50 pounds and like overnight, nothing changed interpersonally between her and I. Like, I didn't say anything to her. I didn't do anything to make her upset. And all of a sudden she has issues with me and she's spreading gossip and all of this. And I have never had to deal with that. I mean, yeah, I've had to deal with like mean people, but at least when they're mean, I kind of know why they're being mean, or I have some sort of context. I don't think I've ever had to deal with women being catty out of the blue. And so that's something that maybe subconsciously I'm like, let me not lose weight and be seen as a competitive force or like seen as competition. I think that's why I've gotten along so well with men and women of like just any background, anything, because I think for me, fat might have actually served as kind of a buffer of like, all right, you know, you don't have to be intimidated by me. I'm just the fat, funny girl, or I'm just the fat girl with a personality, you know? And so that may have actually been something that I've built my identity around. And that if the fat aspect of me changes, maybe my identity and how people perceive me changes. And that actually is like a subconscious fear that's been brought to the surface. Another thing is like the higher pressure to succeed, even in this YouTube channel or in my coaching career. You know, the more I lose weight, the more that's successful, and the more people might want to follow me or might want to see what I'm doing and actually like get on board with the kind of mentality that I have towards weight loss. And that's a good thing, right? like growth on a YouTube platform or growth in a coaching business is a good thing. But that also comes with a lot of pressure, and that's something that subconsciously is pretty scary, to be honest. I'm opening up. This is my heart. I'm just in this car pouring it out to you. And then I guess the last con would be like that I wouldn't have any more excuses or any more reasons for the failures in my life, and there would be a higher pressure from myself for perfection. And as soon as I wrote that down, I was like, that's it. That's the one. That's the one. I mean, the other ones, yes, I have to deal with those fears and those insecurities, and I really need to do some self-reflection on those kind of things. But the expectation of perfection and the actual, like, if I lose weight, I no longer have that as an excuse as to why I don't do all the things that I have wanted to do. I've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to do like physical activity, like go whitewater rafting and go skydiving. I don't know if I want to go skydiving, but something along those lines where it's like, I've wanted to be daring, but it's always been my fallback, like, oh, but I'm too heavy for that, so I just won't. Or I'm too big for that, or I'm too unhealthy for that, so I guess I just can't. And removing that as the reason or the excuse why I don't do the things that I've wanted to do in life is, I mean, that's a ballsy move because then I just don't have any excuse. And on the flip side, all of the reasons why, but I don't wear such and such clothing, or I don't wear heels, or I don't do yoga at 5 a.m, or, there's like certain things that I've just kind of accepted. Well, that's not my life because I'm a hot mess and I'm overweight. And that's been my own self-dialogue. That's been my identity and my own, that's been my own thing. I don't know how to really articulate it, but I guess that's just how I've seen myself for so long, that if I lose weight, all of a sudden I don't have any more excuses. And then there's kind of a higher expectation from myself to become the person that I've always wanted to be. And that's, I'm honoring the fact that that's something that I'm afraid of. I'm not judging myself for being afraid of that. I think we all have fears, even if they're irrational or unwarranted. But I think all of the cons of why I wouldn't want to lose weight are all very valid. There are a lot of dusty men out there and I've experienced a lot of dusty men. And so that's something that is actually, that's a legitimate fear. It's a legitimate fear to be like, okay, yeah, I might have to deal with women being insecure and having those insecurities projected on me or reflected in the way that they treat me because of their own insecurities. And yeah, my YouTube channel might grow and people might actually start gravitating towards the things that I'm talking about, because I am having physical, tangible results from the things that I'm doing, and people might actually want to be coached by me, or want to subscribe to my channel. And it's a big thing. It's scary. It's exciting, but it is scary. And yeah, I would remove a lot of excuses for why I'm not living the life that I've always wanted to live. And on the 25th of September is my 25th birthday. And part of me kind of is afraid that I've already wasted a lot of my youth being fat, and letting that steal my youth, and letting that steal the kind of excitement and adventure of my early 20s. And I think internally I've felt too old for a lot of things that I'm not too old for. I'm just too fat for. So losing weight would open up a lot for me, and I would have to have the guts to follow through with the things that I've wanted to do for a long time. And the only thing standing in my way really is my weight, but also is my subconscious fear. So I'm dealing with that. Like I said, I'm not offering any solutions, but if this is something that you resonate with, or if you have other subconscious fears or other things that might be causing your self-sabotage, maybe not even in a weight loss realm, but just in general, and you feel like you want to share that with me in the comments below, I would really appreciate it. One of the main reasons why I started this channel was to let people know that they're not alone in their struggles. And in effect, that means that I get really vulnerable on these kind of videos. And so when people share that with me in the comments, that really means a lot. I can't tell you how much that means to me. But if not, just, let me know, give me encouragement. Let me know everything's going to be okay. Hopefully you're not a dusty man or a catty woman, because then we can be friends. Anyway, I've ranted for long enough. Part 2 of this current MLM series that I'm putting out is coming up on Wednesday, or just stick around for next Sunday for more health content. I love you guys so much. Okay. Bye.